Step into a world of love, peace, and positivity.
With stories of enlightenment, tales of distrust, and betrayal.
Poly is a hard road of constant learning and a process that requires a love of self in order to love many.
The poly good, bad, ugly, and fuckery. Welcome to Danli's Polyam Adventures.
What up? It's your boy, Danli Divine. Welcome to another episode of Divine Time. Today, I'm going to be covering over Narcissist. Like, it's ridiculous. So first of all, I've had a lot of situations where I've run across narcissists. I recently got done reading a book called Empaths and Narcissists, which is crazy because I'm 32 years old. I had no idea what a narcissist was until I had someone call me a narcissist, which is crazy because after researching what a narcissist was, I was like, yeah, you're a fucking narcissist. And it's crazy because I'm probably even going to lay down some things that they did, which the podcast I was on before. That lady showed traits of it, not saying she is a narcissist, but I didn't like the fact of how controlling she was. That was annoying. But then I'm like, the last relationship I was in, both of them are narcissists, and it's pretty freaking scary. And I'm just worried about I'm worried about their kids, honestly. But anyway, moving on into it. So, what is a narcissist? Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, or narcissism, is a personality disorder characterized by a sense of grandiosity, the need for attention and admiration, superficial interpersonal relationships, and a lack of empathy. It often accompanies other psychiatric disorders and can be difficult to treat. Now, with it, again, just because some people may have some habits, behaviors, and tendencies of things that we're going to end up listing and talking about does not mean that they are a narcissist. Narcissist needs to be diagnosed. Now, granted, we're living in a time to where a lot of people don't want to go and get looked at. They don't want to go to therapy and things like that. That's the only way they're ever really going to be able to be diagnosed as a narcissist. You can't just run around and be throwing the word narcissist around all the time. Now, with it, my ex, I don't know if she's still in therapy because Lord knows she fucking needs it. But I hope that, if anything, I hope she gets the help that she needs because the shit that her and her husband are doing is not right. I've spoken about it, and is honestly right now, I'm just like, you know what, I'm over it because when you have a malignant narcissist as bad as her and the shit that her husband's doing, which is crazy because I know other people who they've tried this shit with. But the thing that gets me is nobody wants to step up and talk about it. Nobody wants to say the shit that's going on, which means it's already affecting their kids. But anyway, moving on because don't stress about things you can't control. And that's one thing that I am really working on. I'm doing my shadow work and everything. I do have to say this. The universe put everyone who enters your life as a lesson or a blessing. They are a big ass fucking lesson for sure. And I am thankful that I ran across them. I because of the fact that I really needed to that was a lesson I needed to learn. Everyone Some people just need to be overlooked. Some people you can't help everyone. And in the spiritual journey that I'm on, relearning the things that I'm sure I knew in a past life, just trying to remember them because it's in my DNA. As spiritual as she claims to be, it brought me into the lights and caused me to research a lot of things, which pointed out a lot of things to me, which was ultimately was the reason why I broke up with her. Because I caught on to everything that they were doing. And the bad part is I was always calling them out on the shit they were doing, which therefore then they tried to make it seem like I was crazy. And we can get into all that later. But anyway, what causes malignant narcissism? Going straight into it. If they have experienced abuse or harassment, if as a child they have unrealistically high expectations for, if as a child they were overpraised or criticized, if they had irritable, neurotic, or aggressive personality traits as children, if they had a low tolerance for stress or frustration, if they are too sensitive or unable to manage their emotions, if they were abused or rejected in childhood. Sounds like majority of everybody, at least in colored families. If the parents said he was special or had exceptional talents. Now, first of all, this is one thing. By the way, like I said, I did research. I'll put all the links and everything down in the show details down below. I would I have no issue with giving credit where credit is due. I do my references. I do my outsource. Now, a thing that aggravates me though is a lot of times when you hear narcissists, it automatically always talks about he. I'm like, yo, there's a lot of female narcissists out there. And reading that book, Empaths and Narcissists, it brought a lot of things to light. Now, I know I'm an empath. I've demonstrated a few times. I scare people at work sometimes. I'm a feeler. I feel things. I can feel other people's pains, all that stuff. It's annoying as shit. I finally realized when I'm feeling someone else's pain and not feeling my own. The emotions, I can feel the emotions. The biggest thing for me was just realizing what it was that I'm feeling, or what it is that I'm feeling, whether that is someone's pain or even their emotions. Freaking annoying. But anyway, continuing on, it aggravates me that it always says he for narcissists. It's like, yo, it's not always a he. There are plenty she females out there. Now, if the parents had narcissistic traits, that one right there hits me because, like I said, this couple, they both are narcissists, and it's destroying their kids. If confirmation or praise is sought for something they have done because that is how they raise their low self-esteem. If they considered vulnerability to be a sign of weakness. If they were taught that failures and mistakes are unbearable and inadmissible. If they are overly focused on status, recognition, power, and success. Whew. If they have a lack of self-awareness and a problem recognizing emotions in themselves and others. If they have impaired identity development. And it's crazy because I mean, I've been reading up on narcissists for a little while now because, like I said, when I'm get told something like that, I was like, "What the fuck is that?" But it's crazy because all the things that were going on, I'm like, "You do everything that it says narcissists do." Even when it comes down to the things you say, which is wild because even in the last group message where I outed them, but of course at that time she was already out there throwing lies about me and talking about my mental health and shit. I've been in therapy for years. Just because of the fact that I'm the type of person to where if something's brought to my attention, I try to fix it because I want to be the best individual I can be. With her, you bring something to their attention, they want to deny it and sit there and try and gaslight you or make it seem like you're the reason why it's like that and all that stuff. And it's just like, what? But I got plenty stories. I'll probably do that on a later date, which in all honesty, fuck them. Fuck everything that they stand for. Karma will come around for them. I'm not even going to do that because I'm not going to drop my frequency and go down to as low as to where they are. Because if they really think that they're good people doing the shit that they're doing, running around molesting people, violating parents of people who they claim to be dating, doing shit like that, when the hammer comes down, all will be known. And at that time, they will be judged accordingly. That's all I will say. So, with it, let's get into it, divine time. I'm trying to keep my spirits high and I'm just hella pissed off. There's a lot of shit going on, but there's been a lot of things going on. I'm not sure if everybody else is. It seems like right now there's a big ass spiritual battle going on and it's affecting the physical world at the same time. And it's like everybody's going through some shit. And it's like karma's coming back on them tenfold. It's like all the little lessons that have been tested on throughout life. Now it's like people are getting final exams and it's fucking a lot of people up. And I'm sitting here just like, y'all need to do y'all shadow work. I'm doing mine. Lord knows I'm doing mine. I'm really getting back in tune with my true self. And while at the same time as I'm doing that, dealing with these spiritual battles that are going on, trying to find my true self while at the same time healing from the past relationship and all the shit that they're still out here fucking doing. It's ridiculous. So with it, continuing on, someone who is not healthy mentally will always want to annoy you. They will say certain things that are going to get under your skin. If the person knows you very well, they will know exactly what to say to get a reaction out of you. They'll always gaslight you and invalidate you. And it's ridiculous because you can be sitting here minding your own business and they'll shoot you a text message trying to get a response out of you. And now with me, I'm a very emotional individual. I respond emotionally because literally feel what it is I'm saying. If I'm passionate about something, I am passionate about it. It's ridiculous. They would she would literally sit there randomly, like, text me, and I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, I don't understand, like, everything was good. Why are you coming at me like this? I'm not coming at you anyway." "Okay, well, maybe I read this wrong." "Yeah, you read it wrong." "Okay, well, what do you mean by this?" Da 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 da." "Okay, well, you said this and this is this." "Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that." "Okay, well, how did you mean it?" "I meant this and this, so why didn't you just say that?" "Well, I thought I did." "No, you didn't. You said this, and I took it like this, but then you're saying that that's not how you meant it, or either I'm sorry you took it like that." Like, what? That's gaslighting. What the fuck? Anyway, so the thing that kills me is with narcissists, it will not always be a negative experience to be in a relationship with a narcissist, or at least not at the first, because there's stages that they go through for this shit, and it's ridiculous. And I can walk y'all through these stages because I've dealt with it on two accounts that I two accounts that I can remember that actually have have ill feelings with me, which is crazy because with my ex, with one of my exes in the past after I was married, the shit that she did, the shit that my ex recently, what she did was reminding me of the shit that my ex and previously in the past was doing. That's why I was like, oh no. And there was many times even throughout the relationship, which was, by the way, my last relationship was like 3 months. I broke that shit off because I started recognizing the patterns and seeing what the fuck was going on and realizing I'm not crazy. Y'all are doing some fucked up shit and y'all trying to make it seem like I'm crazy because I'm calling you out on it, and y'all don't want to acknowledge the shit that y'all are doing, and then the fact that nobody else is saying anything because narcissists try and prey on the weak. They go for people who they feel are not going to try and defy them, because that's how narcissists keep they want to be in control all the time. They want to have that power. If you start seeing what it is that they're doing, they're going to feel that they're losing that power, and either they're going to do one of two things: try and make it seem like they love you to get you back into that whole little fucking manipulative trick that they're doing, or either they're just gonna fucking discard you and leave you broken and leave you to try and fend for yourself, hoping that you'll crawl back to them. But the thing is I'm a fucking warrior. I've been a warrior since I was young, from small. You can talk to my family about that shit. I've always been the type to stand up for people. I've always been the type to fucking, if someone did not, if something was happening to an individual and nobody would do anything, I'd be the one to fucking do something. I've always been that way. Now her husband knew for a fact, was like, "You're a protector." I was like, "Oh, so when he did the shit he did, the only thing that stopped me from unaliving this motherfucker was the fact that Jade's mom was like, 'Don't do anything.'" I'm like, "What the fuck you mean don't do nothing? Like, I'm just supposed to let someone sexually violate you like that, and then under our roof on top of that, and I'm not supposed to do nothing? All right, cool." I left it alone. Her and her mom both are just like, "Karma will come around." I'm like, "Bitch, I am karma. Fuck with me. What's good, cuz?" But anyway, moving on. In the beginning, they will sit there and they have methods to this. They will sit there and make you feel like you're entirely understood. It'll be thrilling and enthralling. They'll make you feel understood and seen. They'll make it seem as if you are the best thing to ever come into their life. And I mean, there's been plenty times where she was always saying like, "Oh, I thought I would never end up finding a relationship that was actually good for me. This is the best thing," and all that shit. And I was like, "What the fuck?" 2 weeks into the relationship, dropped the "I love you." I was like, "The fuck?" I was like, "Woman, like, no, no, you don't." I was like, "You might like an image of me, but you don't love me." And then she felt all bad and shit. Like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it like that." That's her favorite phrase. "I didn't mean that," or I didn't say that. That was her favorite shit. Oh, which was annoying. But the thing that killed me was in the beginning, she literally would idolize me. She would try and make it anything that she felt that Jade was not doing, she would try and do, which is wild because I remember her telling me a story of a previous relationship they were in where I guess her husband cheated on her or whatever, which in all honesty, I understand. And then the what is it called when a person cheats? Not spouse. What is it? The side chick. We'll just call it the side chick. The side chick was over there. she was saying that the side chick was trying to mimic her and like stalking them and shit. In my head, I was like, that sounds like something from that fucking Obsessed movie that Beyonce did. Whatever, whoop de woo. I guess that lady had came over to their freaking military ball one time and outed them. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, so what is it? I don't understand. Like, why did all this end up coming about? That doesn't make sense to me. But even so, her talking about all her previous experiences in relationships was always like everybody else, like everybody always did fucked up shit to her. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. And she always made it seem like everybody was toxic, everybody was just a bad person, all this shit. And I'm like, so right there, I was like, that's weird. But then to top it all off as well, it was like as time went on, because like I said, we only dated for 3 months. As time went on, I was like, yo, you're a pretty evil fucking person. I mean, when I can go through and tell you the shit that she did, just her alone, not even the shit that her husband did, I'm like, y'all are just evil people. And I mean, I even have stories of another couple that they tried playing this shit on. The other couple fucking literally got physical and kicked them the fuck out the house. Was like, no. And the worst part is their kids were there with them. So the kids got kicked out of the house with them. I'm just like, their kids are gonna come out their ass at some point. But again, I digress. I move away from that. So yes, a narcissist in the first phase, which will be the assessment stage, they will come there and they will literally phone you and text you frequently, freely expressing their admiration for you, their love for you, and how vital and special you are to them. They'll flatter you and want to be in your company all of the time. Goal of this tactic, known as love bombing, is to pull you into a hazardous condition of emotional dependency on their incessant praise, attention, and affirmation. I'm not gonna lie, she tried doing that shit to me, and I told her, I was like, look, and the thing that got me is she was always like, I feel like you're pulling away. I was like, why do you feel like that? She's like, because you don't like show me the admiration and all that stuff. I was like, you're blowing my phone up constantly and calling me constantly, wanting to hang out with me constantly. I was like, it's hard to miss someone when they're always around. I was like, you don't even give me opportunity to show you that I care. And then so she ended up backing off. So of course I would like shoot like morning texts and stuff. And I was like, did it on. And then eventually ended up turning into where I'm at work. She's trying to blow me up all the time. Like, look, I'm at work. I can't be on my phone all the time. Then it goes into the, I feel like you're pulling away. I'm trying to fucking work. Are you serious? I can't be on my phone all the fucking time. I have things I need to do. I'm like, I still got, I'm like, look, money doesn't just come and fall off trees like that. I mean, yeah, I have some cash flow and everything that comes in all the time. But other than that, I'm like, I got two kids and a family that I'm raising. I'm not going to sit here and entertain you because you're bored at home, don't have nothing to fucking do. Like, take care of your fucking three kids. Damn, instead of trying to have the oldest raise all of them damn self. No, find something to do. Don't be trying to put all your attention into me. And then at the same time, you have a whole husband. Why don't you message him as well? I'm like, your husband doing the same thing, calling Jade all the fucking time and then getting mad at the fact that she doesn't answer the phone. We got two kids. She's a stay-at-home mom. Like, are you serious? We're not here for your every weeping crane every freaking time that you say jump. You want us to jump? Nah, I don't work like that. We don't know. No, we have two lives, two separate lives. You have three kids. One that is like probably now like 3 years old. The other one's two that are in their teenage years. One that tried to commit suicide. Don't know what the fuck's going on there, but I have a pretty good idea. So, how a narc hunts for his prey. One, the assessment stage. This is where the predator is determining upon meeting you and trying to interact with you to see if you meet their requirements as prey. They're watching your body language, listening with intent to your responses, asking you many questions, paying attention to your eye contact. The predator is determining what use he or she can make of you. Will you be good contacts? Would you be a good sexual relationship? That's all the fuck I was to her, honestly. Can they use you for financial gain, etc.? It's like a lion grooming a gazelle. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and switch it off talking about her, but I did have a woman who tried using me as for financial gain. Matter of fact, a lot of women tried using me for financial gain. Cut that shit off. I was like, nah, fuck y'all. I see this shit. Everything in me, like in my gut, was just it had a feeling. It was just like this ain't right. I gotta let this go. And of course, there was no fighting when I let those girls go because they knew that they weren't in for anything but for pretty much one thing. So when I let them go, that was it. Never heard from them again. It's like, all right, cool. But the thing that gets me is, for example, the last podcast I was doing, everything had to be according to what this woman wanted. I mean, she even had a whole freaking poly group to where she's inviting all these guys in and shit, trying to get with these guys. And if the guys didn't want her or they started paying attention to another girl that was in the group, she would kick them the fuck out. It was wild. And I mean, everybody I talk to, I always tell them, I'm like, I don't do drama because I know how I respond. Like I said earlier, I'm an emotional person. When when things happen, my emotions may kick in before I actually think about what the fuck I'm doing. So I mean, my words come out strong, and I'm very good with my words. I will tell you exactly what it is, how I'm feeling. I can literally paint a picture of I can paint a mural with words to a blind person and have him see exactly what's going on. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so the last podcast I was on with this one girl, it was ridiculous due to the fact that I told her, I was like, I don't do drama, whoop de woo. That was like 2 years before. Tell me why this girl decides to start a whole situation and make me the center of the motherfucker. And I told her, I was like, yo, she's like, I shouldn't have told you that. I was like, you already know I don't do drama. I was like, nah, now I gotta go ahead and end this shit. So I talked to the person and was like, yo, what's going on with this? Whoop de woo. I was like, I heard this. Is it true? And then she goes and puts me in mute in the group. I'm like, why you put me in mute? I was like, I just want to know, like, is this true? Because I mean, if the person has the balls to say something, if they're gonna deny it in front of everybody and anybody else who they have told it to and they deny it, then that lets them everybody else know, okay, you lying. If they say that, yeah, then it's like, all right, cool. Now I know that this is true. But then she ends up going muting me in the group so I can't say anything. Plus, at the same time, I'm like, our podcast, all the sayings and everything that was going down, that was me saying that shit. All she ever did was took my words and put it onto a little Canva little thing to post every week. I was the one, those were my words. So I'm like, the Instagram, yeah, I deleted that motherfucker. I told her I was going to delete it. I was like, because you're not giving me any of the credit that I deserve. I was like, my poems were up there. I was like, a lot of people who were listening to the podcast were saying they were listening to it because the insight that I brought, I was like, probably why their podcast is not up anymore. She tried doing a season 3, then tried talking shit on the first episode. After I heard that, like her try and slander me, I was like, I'm done. I never listened to it again. Can't find that bitch no more. And it's funny because I have other people telling me they were like, yeah, I used to still promote the motherfucker because my shit was still on there. I used to still promote it, and people would be like, I can't find it. I'm like, what you mean? I was like, it was the Black Poly Hot Seat. They're like, I can't find it. I was like, oh, word? Mm. I mean, you even went so far to the point to take it away to where it doesn't say Prana and Danli, and now it's just said Prana and friends, which in all honesty, all the people that she had on there were people she was either trying to screw or either people she has lost a friendship with because she fucked them over in the long run. But I digress. I'm gonna move away from that. Shit that narcissists do. They will use people. There's a lot of users in this world. Now, again, I'm not saying that she is a narcissist, but doing a lot of things that ain't right, a lot of things that aren't right. Even if I have people who talk on my podcast, I give them that episode because I'm like, I wouldn't be able to do it without you. And I mean, I don't know, maybe you have a podcast also, and you can use that same episode on your podcast. I mean, because we get deep in this mug, we get deep in here, you know. I'm like, we can talk about some stuff and it can go down low, like swing low type shit, you know? But anyway, going back on, because I know if Jade was here, she would tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, you're getting off topic. So with it, the assessment stage, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all the story of our first date that I had with what the fuck? I can't say her government name, but yeah, with the last relationship I was in, we ended up going to a crystal store. A crystal store, it was ridiculous. At one point, we were in there and I was going to go buy my stuff, and she was like, "No, I'll get it." And she ended up buying my stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." Because for me, I'm like, I won't do anything for anybody who won't do the same for me. That's one of my boundaries. I informed her of my boundary. I've informed her of a lot of my boundaries, and she still tried overstepping a lot of those boundaries, and then getting mad at me because of the fact that I'm adhering my boundaries. Fucking stupid, right? Wild. But yeah, she ended up buying that stuff for me. That right there was the assessment stage because she was also asking me like, "Oh, well, what are you and Jade looking for in a poly relationship?" I end up saying, and she's like, "Oh, that's crazy." She's like, "We wanted a couple also, but finding a couple is so hard." And da da da. And I was like, "Yeah, it is." She was like, "So why were y'all looking for a couple?" I was like, "Well, ultimately, it's more of Jade because Jade's like, I want a couple to where." A couple that has kids also, so that way they know that we can't just get up and go. We have responsibilities and duties that we need to take care of. And whoop de woo. If y'all want to hear all that, y'all can talk with Jade. She can tell y'all why, with all that stuff. Me, I'm just like, okay, if that makes you happy, cool. I was like, but I was like, it's gonna be real hard to find a couple because of the fact that there's a whole lot of stipulations on that. And so then my ex was there, she was absorbing it, all that. The thing that got me though was the fact that her husband was always talking about he was trying to get to know Jade, but all he ever did was try and rub up on her thighs, fill up on her boobs, rub her butt, shit like that, constantly trying to put himself in her, literally physically in her. And she would always slap him and push him off and shit like that. He would always go and cry to his wife, "Oh, she don't like me. Da, da, da. I'm trying to get to know her." I'm like, look, bro, that's not trying to get to know a person. I was like, it looks like you're just out for sex. And honestly, that's all it really was. He just wants sex. He's always just been trying to fuck something. It's sad as shit to say, but that's what it is. He's always, all he thinks about is sex. I mean, shoot, he would come over there and be trying to have sex with his wife when she's dry as shit. She would tell me all that shit. I'm like, I don't really want to know that. But since they want to be out here and spread fake truth, aka lies, I was like, okay, you want to put my mental health out there? I'm like, I'll spill y'all fucking business too. Bet, let we go. So I mean, that was ridiculous. I mean, it was like it was always about Jade, all of the shit that she's doing wrong and how she was not moving fast enough. And this is one of the first things that pissed me off when they literally came up and was like, "Hey, they were like, we have a time limit that we're still here in this state." They were like, "So if we don't feel that we have a solid foundation by the time we leave, then it's like we're just wasting our time. Then it's not going to work." And I was like, "Okay, so you're telling us that we need to speed up to make y'all happy." She's like, "No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I said." I'm like, "That's exactly what it sounds like. You said y'all are only here for so much time. So we," and I quote, "y'all need to make us feel that we are on a solid foundation. Otherwise, we're wasting our time." Unquote. I'm like, "Bruh, the fuck?" I was like, "You're telling us we need to speed up. We're going at our own pace because of the shit that we've dealt with other people in the past." Everybody always wants to go straight into something. They don't want to ever do that whole getting to know phase. Jade was moving at a pace that was good for her. I was moving at a pace that was good for me. But now y'all getting mad at us because we're not trying to just jump into bed with y'all. One of my boundaries was the fact that I'm not going to rush into anything. She was mad at me because on day 3, she was trying to fucking kiss me. And I was like, "No, thank you." After a week, she was trying to sleep with me. I was like, no." And she had tried it real. She pulled me up into the room, wanted to have a talk with me sitting on the bed. I was like, no, she tried. I was like, okay, just a talk. So we're talking. And then she tries to lean forward to give me a kiss. I was like, yo, what are you doing? And she was like, what? I was like, I'm not. I was like, no. I was like, I'm not sleeping with you. I was like, we have been like official for like what, a week. And even before that, like, I'm like, no, I'm not sleeping with you. And then she starts crying, like, I swear these tears are on demand, starts crying. I feel like then she's telling me about her ex was did the same thing. Like, it was like he would draw her in and then pull away, so it will always be confusing to her and everything. I was like, "No, I told you my boundaries. You're trying to overstep my boundaries." And then her husband ends up getting involved, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Why are you pulling away from her?" I'm not pulling away from her. I'm adhering to my boundaries. If it's an issue that I'm adhering to my boundaries, like, what the fuck? And then of course they guilt trip me and all that shit, make me feel like I'm doing something wrong. At the time, I'm not gonna lie, I was still I am a pleaser, and that was where I fucked up because I dropped my boundary to allow her, so that way she wouldn't feel bad. Never doing that shit again. So then after you have the assessment stage, you have the manipulation stage. This is where the empath, coincidentally me, believing in giving most people a chance because people have inherently good intentions, right? Nah, fuck that. They don't. Is slowly methodically put under the trance of the psychopathic bond. You will find yourself trusting way too soon, breaking your own deal breakers and boundaries. What did I just say? They may idealize you in words and actions, making you feel special. We all want to feel special, right? Nah. Some of us do. Me at this point, I'm like, nope. So we tend to overlook things that don't feel right or are over the top or moving too fast. We become like sleeping beauties under a spell, I guess, giving the psychopath and narcissist way more information than we should. We begin to engage in a dangerous dance in which the predator is using us, but we fail to see it clearly due to the subtle, well thought out calculations. But hey, I'm going to go ahead and take a pause right here. We're going to come back right after this break, all right? All right, all right, all right. I am back. And continuing where I just was. So with it, they will be very responsive and giving at first. It is a mind control ploy to make you feel safe. Once they have ensnared, Once they have ensnared you in their trap of all wonder, that's when they will play the takeaway game and begin the emotional manipulation and abuse. You become their puppet on a string, trying to please someone who will never be pleased and never cared to begin with. You were chosen to serve their needs and be their punching bag. Now, check this out. Whew, story time, story. So, real quick, I'm gonna go ahead and cover a story of when they were overstepping my boundaries. I already told y'all one where literally I had told them my boundaries and they tried to push me over it anyway. And then have another one where she literally tried to put a monogamous rule on me. She gave me an ultimatum about a third that I didn't even want due to the polysaturation of all the shit that I'm doing and at the time was doing. It was hard for me to even find a second, first of all. Now, I don't like the word second, but that's the only way I can really say it. It was hard for me to find another. And she ended up going and saying, like, oh, if you want a third, then you need to let me go. I was like, where did this come from? So there was a girl who had a crush on me at my job. Girl's like 18 years old, child. There was one day, it was on a Monday, because Mondays I had put aside for her. I was like, okay, this can be like our little date day. But then it eventually ended up turning into where like she damn near would try and see me every day. And I was like, so what the fuck's the point of us having our Monday? All right, cool. So going on with that story, I had got off work. I went to the movies. I ended up like running some errands and I was like exhausted. I was all right, well, I need to recharge because this was like more towards the end of the relationship. This is during the manipulation stage. I was constantly being drained. Every time I would see her, I was drained for a couple of days because she was just an energy vampire. Every time it was just woe is me, or either she turned something on to fucking try and find something to argue about. And the worst thing is me being the empath that I know I am now, and I've always been an emotional individual. I always stood up for what I believed in. So every time that shit was going down, I would call her out on it. And that's where I was fucking up because I learned now when you call a narcissist out on shit, they're going to literally take it and throw it back at you tenfold and try and make you seem like you are the worst person in the world for even bringing that shit up. So with this, she gave me an ultimatum. She said, if you want a third, she was like, then you need to pick a third or me leaving. And I was like, okay, first of all, I can barely handle you with all the shit that you're bringing to the table, as in her constant freaking suicide talking, suicide attempts in front of her fucking kids, constantly blowing me up all the time to where it's like I never had time to myself. I never had time to myself. And if I told her like, yo, I need to recharge or hey, I just need to take a break for myself, try and get my mind together, she would always take it and turn it around as in, oh, you're trying to pull away or either you never want to see me. I'm like, I see you every damn day. We literally all four of us video call before we go to bed. Like, yo, what's good? What's good? It's your boy Danli Divine here to drop a little bit more knowledge through things that I have gone through in my life. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you've heard, go ahead. Shoot me an email or anything like that. Right? You can reach me at jade.shade9590 at gmail.com. That is ZHAD, or correction, JADE .ZHADE 9590 at gmail.com. We'll have a little Facebook group up as well. Divine Time has nothing to do with polyamory. It's all about spirituality, uplifting positivity, even if you're not spiritual. It's just something to make sure that we all are going about our days on a positive way. Me personally, I feel that I am a healer, I am a defender, I am a warrior. I'm like, with that, I feel like it's my responsibility to connect individuals, to bring positivity, to bring that light, because we are living in a world that is so toxic, to where toxic and evil people are elevating into higher positions to where they are controlling a lot of things. And those who actually give a fuck, generally give a fuck, genuinely give a fuck, are looked down upon as if we are the lowest of the low. And in all honesty, we need to go ahead and switch this hell on earth around, because we can literally take the hell that we're in and turn it into a heaven, a very positive place, and let all these demons burn. So again, when I do my podcast, I do live podcasts. If y'all want to jump in on that, go ahead and click, clackety, click, and type things up while I'm over here having a conversation with whoever I am with, or even if I'm by myself. Please bring your insight, bring your knowledge, bring your wisdom. For example, anything that I'm saying, it might not be for you, but yet you would leave taking that and passing it on to somebody else who may need it. So please jump on in, like, subscribe, follow. Blessings. Like, you talk to me all throughout the day. I'm like, you read my fucking love diaries, which, by the way, she took some of my love diaries because to me, a diary, if I'm going to write in a diary, it's literally how I feel. And I would always say, I feel, but she would always take it and turn it around and it got to a point where she was like, I only want you to write positive things about me in the love diary. I'm like, but you do things that upset me. And that's like my way of venting. But of course, that wasn't good. I mean, this is the same lady who made me take a podcast episode down because I was talking about the ultimatum she put on me, which I'm not going to get too deep into it because y'all can go listen to that podcast episode. She made me take that down because she said she didn't like the way that it portrayed her. I was like, I just talked about exactly what had happened. Are you serious? So that episode, I had it up, took it down for like 2 weeks, and I was like, nah, fuck that shit. I put it back up because ultimately this podcast I made because I'm like, one, I wanted to talk about my life because I go through a lot of shit. Like, I'm 32 years old. The things that I have done, things I've seen, things I have gone through is probably more than anybody else, a lot of other people my age. That's why I don't get along with a lot of people my age because I'm just been through too much. And I guess you can say that I have matured beyond my age. The physical age is really just nothing but a fucking number. So I'll let y'all hear that story on that episode, that podcast episode. I can't remember exactly what the title of it is, but she literally gave me an ultimatum and was mad at the fact that I did a podcast on it. I'm like, but it's what you did. Like, okay, you don't like the way that it portrayed you. You shouldn't have fucking did that. But going on with that, in the beginning, I stated that I didn't want to move fast. I felt that in the past, most of my relationships went too fast and why they didn't last. Within the first week, she tries to engage in sex. I felt uncomfortable and she gets upset and tells me that I was doing the same thing her previous relationship with her godchildren's father did. Wild, right? That I was randomly pulling away, stepping over my boundaries and trying to make me feel bad for even having boundaries. That was the thing that pissed me off. But the other thing was she was very controlling. She tried to put monogamous rules on me out of jealousy. She literally had said, she was like, I was like, you understand? She said, I don't want you to hang out with any other women. I was like, you understand that like most people I chill with are females. And she was like, well, okay, well, just don't like do anything that could be misleading. I was like, you already know I'm a natural flirt. So what is misleading? I was like, so you're saying that I can't really even talk to them or just be myself around them? I was like, that's really weird. And I was like, okay. So at that point, like my whole body was just like, danger, danger. And I was like, you know what? And she was like, so do you want me to leave? I was like, I don't want you to leave. But at the same time, like you're putting rules on me. She's like, no, this is a boundary. I was like, it's not a boundary. You're telling me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. I was like, that's not a boundary. That is a rule. Plus, at the same time, you're also limiting Anaya. I was like, you're also limiting her because you saying that you don't want anybody else to join the relationship. I was like, that means that when y'all go wherever the fuck y'all go, because your husband's in the military, if she wanted anything, she can't do that because now you have this rule on us that nobody else can be in the relationship. I was like, but at the same time, I don't even want a third. I was like, so you're pretty much telling me that, okay, cool. If I ever reach a point where I do want a third, you're going to leave. All right. But right now you're giving me an ultimatum of picking a third who I don't even want and haven't even had eyes on, don't even know who the fuck you're talking about or you. I'm like, everything in me want to just be like, bye, bitch. But I was like, you know what? Let me see if she's even willing to compromise. Because again, you just told me what was going to happen. Just like how before, where you were like, we have a set amount of time. This is what needs to happen. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Now you just did the same thing where this is what's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, this is the second time where there was no compromise. It was just, this is what it's going to be. And so I ended up telling her, I was like, okay, are we able to do a compromise then? So I ended up working on a compromise and she settles for that and then still feeling hella bad. But the thing that got me is she was like, her husband's over there getting all upset with me. Like she has a boundary and you're trying to step the boundary. I was like, hold the fuck up. First of all, calm the fuck down because in the beginning, I laid out my boundaries. Y'all stepped over them bitches, then tried making me feel bad because I even had boundaries. Then at the same time, I'm like, your wife ultimately is trying to put monogamous rules on me when we're in a polyamorous relationship. Plus, at the same time, she originally wanted a monogamous relationship with you, but you cheated on her and then guilt tripped her into making you watch her sleep with another woman. Plus, at the same time, brought her into a swinger lifestyle, then made your homeboy sleep with her. I was like, you have overstepped all her boundaries. And then you're getting mad at me for saying no to a rule she's trying to put on me. I'm like, nah, you out your motherfucking mind, cuz don't step to me with that shit. Cause I'm at this point, I was already ready to knock him the fuck out just because of the fact that I caught on to shit they were doing after he already sexually molested Jade. Like, how many times does a woman have to tell you no and you keep on trying? Then you try at the end, try and guilt trip them by saying, oh, I'm leaving and I'm going to be going and a lot of things can happen. I think we should utilize the best of our time that we have right now. The fuck you mean? She already explained to you the trauma she has from shit in her past, and you still trying doing the same shit. You see my issue here? You see why I was pissed off about that? But then even so, I'm gonna fast forward later on after I broke it off with them and told her, I was like, we can have this conversation if you want closure when your husband comes back, because he was gone in school. Of course, they didn't because I think they knew that they fucked up. And I'm the type person who's not, no, you don't do shit like that and think you're gonna get away with it. But come to find out that he done some he you try let me balance myself, calm my breathing. You literally try and stick your hand up Jade's mom's skirt while she was on a step stool trying to get something off top shelf. Then at another time, as we're all like playing Twister, you end up going and trying rubbing your hand on her ass again. Like, do you not understand when that no means no? I'm like, you're just a fucking horn dog. Like, really, bro? Okay. But anyway, moving on. Yep, just talked about how he touched Jade's mom multiple times while he was still dating Jade, and then made me out as jealous because I was constantly speaking up about the things that he was doing and trying to do to Jade. I'm not going to go too deep in that one because I'm trying to stay zen here and I'm not about to rage the fuck out. Yeah, I took notes on this podcast because I've been wanting to do this one for a very long time, but I had to really get myself centered because it still eats me up and it still pisses me off, and there's still things going on that are still just not right. Like, people are refusing to see the shit that's going on, and now that Jade has spoken up about what has happened, they weren't expecting that because they were expecting Jade was a very non-confrontational individual. So but when the shit was going down, she would always freeze up. So they saw that as a perfect opportunity to try and spin it all on me and make it seem like I was crazy. But since Jade said what the fuck has happened, they weren't banking on that shit. But the thing that killed me is there was always so much negativity about their previous partners and how bad they treated them, but never once did they talk about the shit that they did to cause these things. It was ridiculous. Really fucking ridiculous. But anyway, moving on. So that right there is the manipulation stage. Then after that, there's another stage. But real quick, we're going to talk about stonewalling. Stonewalling, the abuser acts confused, pretends he or she doesn't understand what the victim is telling him or her, and withholds feelings. Usually it's something along the lines of them saying, why are you trying to confuse me? You're not making any sense. Or I have no idea what you want me to say. The thing that gets me is literally, I can tell you a time where she said, why are you trying to confuse me? At one point, it got to a point where I stopped literally talking to her like verbally because I switched it over to mainly text just because of the fact that I got tired of her always saying, "Oh, I didn't say that," or "That's not what I meant," and then try and say something else, or either be like, "I never said that," and then I would show her and be like, "That's exactly what you said," and then she would say, "Oh, that's not what I meant." I'm like, "So what did you mean by that?" And then I end up telling her, and I was like, "Look, I do not." I'm like, "I don't believe anything you say." I was like, because you don't say what you mean or mean what you say. And I understand why we always have so many arguments because you try and tell me that I said something. I'm like, no, I didn't. You're like, yes, you did. I'm like, no, I said this exactly what I typed. And she's like, well, I took it as this. I'm like, see, I don't know why you're taking it as something because I say what I mean and mean what I say. I was like, I don't do this whole trying to manipulate people shit. I will tell you how I feel. And then you want to say, oh, because if I tell you and be like, it really hurts my feelings when you sit here and try and tell me that I am doing something that I am making you feel this way, but yet at the same time, I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about myself. I'm like, you turn everything into a you thing. I can sit here and talk about how my day was hard and it was nice to hear from her, but then when the messages keep going over and over again, or you start getting upset because the fact that I'm not responding because I can't have my phone on the floor while I'm at work. So now when I do can respond, you have a big attitude. I was like, it makes me feel like I'm constantly doing something wrong. Then you switch it around and come at me like, well, I was just trying to show you that I cared about you, and then you don't want to respond. So how do you think it makes me feel? Okay, first of all, like I'm working. Like, are you serious? But the fact that I even told you how I felt about it. Now I'm wrong for telling you how I felt about it. Okay, cool. There was a time where I pulled up in front of the house and I was like, "Yo, you said this." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, What is that?" I was like, "Cause I took it exactly how you said it." She's like, "Oh no, that's not." She's like, I didn't say that." I was like, "Okay." So I pulled my phone out, showed her exactly what she said, which is exactly what I just said that she said. She's like, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." I was like, "Of course you didn't." I was like, "What did you mean it by?" She's like, "Well," she's like, she's like, "You gotta give me a heads up when you're gonna do things like that." She's like, "Cause I right now I feel like you're trying to confuse me." She's like, "You gotta give me a heads up so that way I can think about it and figure out how I'm going to respond." Right there, I was like, "Yeah, I know exactly what the fuck you are. I know exactly what you are." And literally, the very next day, I ended the relationship because I was like, I see through all this shit. But even before, there was other situations. So with it, that's stonewalling. Now you have countering. The abusive partner questions the memory and thoughts of the victim and supports the accusation with previous examples. So, for example, you never remember things correctly, or I never said that, or you have a very active imagination, or get your facts straight. Now, I don't remember her saying any one of these four specifically, but I do remember her saying, you get your days mixed up a lot because I'm always working, always doing something. A lot of times I don't remember my days. I remember her saying, "You have a hard time remembering your days. Are you sure you're remembering this correctly?" And I was like, "I'm pretty sure." So that's the reason why I started writing everything down on my calendars of major events, big things that happen. Or even if it's arguments or whatever, I annotate all this shit on my calendar. Even when it comes down to like me and Jade, even to this day, to where we end up saying and Jade says she's gonna do something, I write it on the calendar. Jade says she's gonna do this and this and this. So that way I know for a fact that that shit really did happen. Yeah, I'm not fucking crazy. But then, even so, you have blocking and diverting. The abuser refuses to answer or comment, changes the subject, faults the victim, accusing or blaming them, or faults the victim for acting the way they did. Examples: I'm not going to go through this again, or we already talked about this, or you're always picking fights. You always have to be right. She has done the "you're always picking fights" with me. I was at work. I work a lot. I was at work, and then I would get done with work. I would end up coming home to do schoolwork because I'm a full time student, while at the same time work full time, while at the same time managing the businesses, while also trying to start up another business. I do a lot. I mean, I have to in order for Jay to be a stay at home mom. So with that, she was messaging me at work and everything, talking about how she feels like she doesn't see me very often. I'm like, you saw me yesterday. No, I was like, you saw me literally, not that yesterday, but the day before. I was like, you saw me 2 days ago. I was like, I was like, can we talk about it later? I'm at work. I can't be on my phone. She's like, you always find a way to avoid whatever it is when you talk about. I'm like, I'm at work. So I just stopped responding because at this point I already got threatened to get written up because I was on my phone, which I wasn't on my phone, I was on my watch. But also at this time I ended up being going into a sling because I was about to get surgery also. So they gave me the steroid shot, told me I couldn't really do shit. Whoop de woo. Take a breath. And I was like, look, we can talk about this later. And she was like, I'm not trying to pick a fight. I was like, okay, neither am I. And she was like, but it feels like you're always trying to pick a fight. I was like, I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm telling you I can't be on the phone. And then she responded, said something else, and I just took the phone, threw it in my locker, was like, I don't have time for this shit. I was like, this is getting out of hand. And later on, and there was another time we were talking, and I was like, "So what is up with?" We were talking about something, and she was like, "You're right." I was like, "What do you mean I'm right?" I was like, "I'm asking you a question." She's like, "You always have to be right. You're right." I was like, "What? I'm asking you a question. Like, the question, I'm confused. Like, what?" So yeah, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'm not dealing with all this manipulation bullshit. It's getting on my damn nerves. But the trivializing, the abuser makes the thoughts and needs of the victim seem unimportant. Examples: that is hardly important. Why would you let something so stupid come between us? You are just too sensitive. You always blow things out of proportion. Let it go already. I can tell you she used 3 of these in one fucking conversation. Again, I am an emotional response person. I admit to that. That's the difference between me and narcissists. I can admit when I do something wrong. I can take ownership of it. Her and him, no, no. It's and I've proved this on many occasions with them. Catch them doing something, bring it to their attention. Oh no, that's not what you saw, or no, it's not like that, or either just completely deny it, lying to my fucking face. And I'm like, okay, the fact that you won't acknowledge it means it's never going to change, which means that I'm not going to sit here and keep dealing with the same shit over and over again. Because I've told her, I was like, you're a manipulator. I was like, you are a big manipulator. And she's like, what? No, I'm not. I was like, okay, so you can bring it to my attention that I seem to be overly aggressive just based off of, and Jay told me too. She was like, yeah, she was like, it's nothing that you really can help. She was like, you just stand aggressively. I'm a fucking Marine. I'm sorry. I'm like, even before that, I was in a lifestyle that wasn't the best. I was like, the way that I talk before the military, I was on a lifestyle that wasn't the best. It was like, yo, you show signs of weakness, you can fucking die. I'm like, in the Marine Corps, I'm like, you have to be confident. You have to be, especially in leadership positions, you have to literally be that force. Like when you walk in a room, you got to be able to change the atmosphere. That's just how I am. I can't change that. I mean, when I talk to an individual, I'm passionate about things that I say. So people automatically think that, oh, you're being aggressive. No, I'm not. I'm just passionate about what I say. Like I can sit here and have a happy conversation and people are like, you're loud. I'm like, I'm sorry, I got too excited. That was a bad thing. So I worked on that. I learned how to drop emotion out of my voice, talk it a little bit slower, just like this. That wasn't good enough. But I guess just the way that I normally talk was too aggressive. So I worked on that, talked to my therapist and everything. We worked on that, working on mindfulness. I changed that. It has helped a lot with me and Jade's relationship. With them, it didn't really do shit for them at all because I made my changes. I acknowledged shit, made my changes, bring things to their attention of what they're doing that neither me or her like or anybody else. Well, there wasn't really a lot of people around them. Stayed confined to their house, and the people that they have around them are people that need them because she is a traveling fucking whatever she does. And just kept denying it. No, I'm not a manipulator. I was like, okay. After the third time of bringing the facts to the table, showing her the shit she was doing, and to her to still denying it, I was like, okay, that's never going to change. Even with the times where they're doing shit that's we all are like, yo, what the fuck? And then y'all try and make it seem like I'm fucking losing my mind because I'm the only one speaking upon it. Because like again, Jade and her mom are just like karma will come around. So they're just like back away into the fog. Jade would end up going into her own little zone because that's what she does. Most people who are trauma based deal with a lot of trauma, their fight or flight. If they end up going back into that situation, they'll kind of freeze up. That's what Jade would do. So I'm still over here trying to defend her and the shit that they were trying to do to her. And now it looks like I'm defending a person who doesn't want to speak for themselves. So now they switch it back on me, making it seem like I'm the crazy one. But again, ever since Jade had said something, you don't hear shit from them no more. I was telling Jade, I was like, look, unless you speak about the shit that has happened, I was like, it's always going to look like they won because then now it's like it's always going to be just me talking, which I got to the point where I was like, I'm done talking because I'm not, like I said, one of my boundaries. I'm not going to defend a person who won't defend themselves. But going on with that, there was a time we were talking and she was like, you're too sensitive. She was like, you can't let everything get to you like that. I was like, but you're literally over here trying to make it seem like I'm crazy and you're trying to say I'm too sensitive because I'm standing up for myself. She's like, oh my gosh, you always blow things out of proportion. I was like, how does it blowing things out of proportion? And then literally let it go already. She hit all 3 of those in that one fucking conversation, literally about a 15-second to 30-second conversation. I was like, bruh. But the thing that gets me the most with a narcissist, if you stand up for yourself and confront, you will be the recipient of severe punishments, such as silence treatments, subtle put downs, and slowly your self worth will deteriorate. Remember, they seek empaths because of the high level of understanding and rationalization. This should spell run, but many empaths don't until it's clear that this has been a game and illusion. I started recognizing it again. Like I said, I started recognizing she was doing a lot of the same fucking things that one of my exes was doing. And I knew how that shit ended because with that ex that I had, Try getting after I broke up with her, she didn't want to leave. She wanted me to buy her a ticket to go back home. I was like, but you're the one that was doing all this shit. I was like, save your money instead of blowing it on alcohol and weed and buy your ticket to go home. But it was causing a lot of drama for me because anytime that I would talk to someone, they automatically think I'm still in a relationship because she barge in my room and be like, who you talking to? I'm like, does it fucking matter? Like, and I mean, a lot of times I wasn't even talking to like no girls or anything. It was just along the times because I was a salesman at the time. So I'm doing follow up calls or whatever, and boom, boom, boom. It was annoying. But even so, is like it at points at times it's like if I did talk to a girl or whatever, and I'm like, you can't come over because my ex is still there, and it's like, of course, me saying my ex still stays at the house, it looks suspicious, like we're still together, and I'm trying to hide something. And I was just like, no. So eventually, I ended up buying her ticket and sending her to fuck home. But anyway, 3, the discard. This phase is inevitable with all pathological narcissists and psychopaths. They either have extracted all they can from you or grow bored of how understanding you were of the game and that the game is no longer fun for them and they move on, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Now, if you eventually catch on, like I did, if you muster the courage, like I did, you may exit first, but not without losing a part of yourself and your innocence. Facts on fucking facts. Because the shit that's going down right now is still fucking ridiculous. I'm not sure if they're aware that we've been out here in this state longer than they have. We know so many more people because we've been in the community for so goddamn long. Everything that you run out here trying to fucking talk about, more people know of us than they know of you. Word gets back to us. So we know all the bullshit that y'all are spewing. Just to go ahead and give you a little insight, just so you know, just so you know, just so you know. Now, again, I'm past this. I'm just like, I want it all to be done with because what goes around comes around, and y'all are going to get what the fuck y'all deserve. Narcissists are some evil ass people. Now, 3 painful things a narc will do to you. They worship devaluation. Narcissists will accuse you of being needy, jealous, and suffocating as a result of your desire to win them back. Now, check it out. I'm not gonna lie. There was a time where I told her I was like, you are very needy." And the reason I said that, I was like, "You want all your attention. You take all your attention, try and put it on me. Get mad at me because I'm not showing you attention because I can't. You're suffocating me with it. You don't give me an opportunity to." I was like, then at the same time, if you don't hear from me for a couple hours, all of a sudden there's an issue. I was like, I have things that I'm doing. Like, I literally at the time, my schedule was like go to work, come home from work, do schoolwork, spend time with the kids. Then after I'm done spending time with the kids, go hop on a video call with you and your husband, let y'all go to sleep, go do some more homework, try and get a couple hours sleep, wake back up, call you in the mornings I'm going to work, then have you text and call me while I'm at work. Then you would try and come and see me while I'm at work on my lunch. Then at the end of the day, if it was Monday, I go to see you. If it wasn't Monday, then you would end up trying when I get off work, I'm heading home. Then I needed to call you because if I didn't, you would think that there was something wrong, but you wouldn't say it. But instead, you would just get all upset with me at the fact that I didn't call. But I'm like, you can call me also. I don't need to sit here and be constantly trying to reach out to you because that's what you want. Worships that devaluation. Urgh. That needy, the jealous I already talked about when she was getting mad at the fact that I had female friends and you trying to tell me, no, can't be around other girls. I'm like, what? It was ridiculous. But the narcissist will occasionally bathe you in the loving behavior they displayed at the start of the relationship. They'll then revert to stonewalling, apathy, and inconsistency. After you meant the world to them, they make you feel completely unimportant. I informed her, I was like, look, I'm inconsistent just because of the fact that I'm doing a lot. I was like, when I start doing stuff, I'm tunnel vision. I lose track of time. I can lose track of time if I'm really dig deep into what it is that I'm doing. Like, for example, this podcast is probably going to be an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours long. I'm probably going to break it into 2 segments. So that way it's only an hour each. So I'm going to go ahead and hit these last 3 painful things that a narc will do. The use of gaslighting. We've talked about gaslighting already. I'm going to hit it again just in case you forgot. Gaslighting is a narcissist manipulative tactic for making you lose sight of how they are bringing you misery. I say that again, misery. Basically, they will make you feel even more inadequate every time you rebel against their accusations, for bringing up the matter, for being insane, for stressing them out, for generally pushing them away, and for triggering their fury. I say again, their fury. And the third one that they love to fucking do is the use of triangulation. You understand how hurtful it is to be told that someone else is so much better than you at this or that? Triangulation. It's all about persuading someone to believe they are less useful, accomplished, or appealing than someone else. She used to pull that shit all the time. Oh, well, her husband would do this, or her husband would do that, or her husband would do this and this. I'm like, okay, I don't care. And I mean, even with it, she went out to lunch one time with Jade, and the whole time all she did was sit there and cry about her husband. She did the same thing when she went out with one of my homegirls, my big sis, and cried about her husband. I have messages where nobody says anything about him. All she does is bring him up. This dude has literally physically beat her into submission to where the only good thing that she can say about him is when she had the miscarriage, he was there to clean up the blood. And she always throws that story out and cries about that. I'm like, you honestly, the way everything seems, and even people have told me it doesn't even seem like they want to, like she wants to be in a relationship with him. She's trying to find good things to say about him to convince herself that she's in a relationship that she enjoys and loves. I'm just like, and I told them, I was like, look, if y'all are trying to go into a polyamorous relationship to save y'all marriage, I was like, don't want to be a part of it. Don't want to be a part of it. But hey, I'm gonna have to come back and hit part two on this because there's so much more that needs to be said. There's so much more that needs to be said, and not even about them. I really don't give a fuck about them. Like I said, they're gonna get what's coming to them in tenfold, fuck that hundredfold, fuck that thousandfold, infinite folds. And in all honesty, I'm sure it's going to be their kids that out them. So I'm not even worried about it. And everybody who decided to jump on the bandwagon with them and believe whatever all the shit that they're saying, when it's outed, do not run back over to me or mine. Because I'm always going to hold my shit down. And remember, just like old boy on TikTok says, anybody can get it. But I can't leave with that. But this was an episode of Divine Time because I'm pretty sure old boy shit is copywritten. But that motherfucker, he's dead ass. Like, that's how I feel. Anybody can get it. Like, okay, you want to believe that shit? Believe that shit. But when you learn the truth, don't run back to me like it was, oh, I'm so. How you doing? It's your boy Danli Divine. I'm coming at you right now just to go ahead and let y'all know everywhere that you can find me at. I'm on TikTok. My name is Danli_Divine. Instagram, Danli's_Divine. On Facebook, that one's a little different. It's a little tricky. It's Danli McNelly. You can look me up. You can find me. I do have a Facebook group. It's called Divine Time. When you see the logo, you'll recognize exactly who it is. There also is a Telegram group. You know what Telegram is? You're already on the end. That one right there, the link is as follows down below in the show details. I also do live broadcasts, live shows. And if you want to get a part of that, be a part of it, you can be in the little chat audience box to where you can type up. We'll be responding to you right then and there for either if I'm just by myself or if I have guests with me. We'll all be able to see it. If you want to jump in on that, you can hit me up with my email, or even if you just want to leave any type of feedback or have any ideas on a topic, the email is down below as well, but I'll say it for you. It's going to be Jade, JADE .shade, ZHADE 9590 @gmail.com. And please, I don't do any of this for any type of clout, for any money or anything. I just want to try and bring positivity, knowledge to the world. I feel that we are living in a time of toxicity where evil, malicious people are being elevated high, and those who are genuine and care are constantly looked down upon. So I'm just wanted to where we can go ahead and turn this hell on earth into a heaven and a paradise, to where much love is shown, much love is given to all the people, no matter of their race, color, creed, anything along those lines, and to where religion doesn't matter, to where everybody's living in a universal love. So again, if you like what you heard, please like, follow, subscribe, pass it on, get the word out. Let's go ahead and turn this into a loving, caring podcast and turn the world into a better place.